Good morning, good evening to our amazing partner, wherever you guys are. I hope you had an amazing day. Today, we're going to speak about VIU, Vancouver Island University, located in Vancouver Island. And then as always, I would like to thank you, our panelists, Leanne, Michael and Amira. They actually is 5 a.m. of their time, so really appreciate it, guys. You can turn on your camera, just saying hi. Really appreciate it for being with us today and taking time and waking up that early to be able to educate more people about VIU. Really thankful of that. To our amazing partner, the first 45 minutes of this webinar, we will talk about VIU, and the last 15 minutes will answer your question. The recording of the webinar will be provided to you at the end of the webinar, and we will give you application discount, which is like always at the end of the webinar. That would be the end of my talking. I will pass it to VIU folks to take over. Thank you so much, and once again, thanks for being with us today that early morning.
There we go. I'm all switched on and I hope you can hear me and see me clearly. Good morning and thank you so much for joining us. My name is Amira. I'm joined today by my colleagues Mikhail, Leanne and Russia. Vancouver Island University is based in Nanaimo on the west coast of Canada, but we have a really unique model in terms of our business. So we have offices all over the world. So Russia is joining us from Vietnam. She's responsible for Southeast Asia. Mikhail is based here in Nanaimo and he's responsible for CIS and Russia. I myself, I recruit for the African continent, international students in Canada and the US. And Leanne is our manager for communications and marketing. So we have a really strong team here. We're happy to answer all your questions. And I think we're going to jump straight into our presentation. And if I could ask Katie to start off with our video, please. In my eye every time I see that video. It includes a lot of our interns and our staff members, so it feels very close to home. So we have a lot of slides to get through. I'm going to jump straight in. Please do put your questions into the chat box and we'll be happy to take them at the end of the session. Quick run through our agenda. I'm going to give you an introduction of Vancouver Island University, talk to you about two of the pathway programs into the university, which is the high school and the foundation. And then the bulk of the programs, undergraduate and graduate. I'll talk about our student services, our housing and our athletics program quickly. and then we'll go into the cost estimates with our tuition. In terms of applying, you would go directly through ApplyBoard, so that will be a very quick chat. We've already had a look at the video, and then we'll go into the questions and discussion. And since most of you are looking at a September 2020 entry, I have a list of programs that are still open and accepting applications. All right, so where are we based? We are coming to you from the west coast of Canada. It is 5:07 in the morning right now. We're based in the city of Nanaimo on Vancouver Island. Most international students coming to join us would transit through Vancouver. We have a national airport in Nanaimo, so you would just take a 20-minute flight across. If you're planning to travel to Vancouver for the weekend, you can also take the ferry. It's a 1 hour, 40-minute ferry across, and we have 2 different ferry departure terminals. A little bit about Vancouver Island University. We have around 15,000 students. Approximately 2,000 of that is international, representing 93 different countries. We started as a college many years ago, so we still have many of those qualities of a college, that intimate class environment, the focus on teaching excellence, the smaller classes, and all of that continues today into our identity as a university. And of course, we're internationally accredited by a number of organizations. And in 2018, we were recognized with the Global Teaching Excellence Award. So when you're talking to your students, you can tell them that their needs as a student are top of mind for us as a university. Some of our unique points, I mentioned the small classrooms. Something very unique for us is that we have a designated faculty of international education. So what that means for you and your students is that it's a one-stop shop. All of their needs would be taken care of in one place. We also have English Language Support Center. So if your students are coming in with an IELTS that is lower than what is required for academic studies, then they can upgrade that with us and get direct entry into VRU or into a number of public institutions in BC. What do students say about us? Well, first of all, the weather is fantastic. We have very few cold, snowy days. It does rain a lot because we are in a tropical rainforest area. We're very connected with the community, so you're going to see a lot of interaction in terms of internships, guest speakers, and Nanaimo business is always on campus. Like most of Canada, especially the smaller cities, we're very safe, extremely multicultural, very welcoming, and we have a very low cost of living. So this is important for students coming from countries where the exchange rate is a little difficult to convert across to the Canadian dollar. And the best part is that there's lots of there's lots of things to do around here. So you can go hiking, you can go snowshoeing, skiing, stand-up paddleboard, lots of fun things to do in the outdoors. So I'll talk very quickly about 2 of the pathways into the university. One of them is our high school. We offer a grade 10, 11, and 12 program. We have received students from some of you in the past. We are one of 2 high schools in Canada that's directly connected to a university. So when completing high school with us, you're guaranteed entry into the university program. We're based on the Nanaimo campus. We're very integrated with the university and all its facilities. The second pathway program that we have is our University Foundation Year. So this is students coming from a British or Cambridge curriculum background who have completed their O-levels or IGCSEs or GCSEs. Aged between 16 to 25, they can go into a 1-year university pathway program, which would be the equivalent of the 2-year A-levels. And upon completion, they are also guaranteed acceptance into the first year of VIU's undergraduate programs. Okay, so jumping into the bulk of the programs, undergraduate and graduate, and Mikhail, I'm happy for you to jump in and contribute anything. If I skip anything, please. So with the undergraduate programs, we're looking at a 1-year certificate program, a 2-year diploma, and 4-year undergraduate with various minor and major options. And the general admission requirements that you would be looking at, number 1 is your high school transcript in your own language and translated to English. And the second is the English language requirement. So for undergraduate programs, that would be at 6.5 IELTS with no band below 6.0. And I believe my next slide highlights that score. and also provides the Duolingo. So we are accepting Duolingo for the fall 2020 and the spring 2021 semesters, and that is a 110 score. So your students do have the option of taking that. There are a list of other programs, other English assessments that we accept, and those are on our website. So you're welcome to go and have a look at those as well. So with my next slide, we're going to jump straight into the academic programs, looking at art, design, and performing arts. We have various 2-year diplomas and 4-year degrees. These are very specific in the art and design areas. You can see there's a diploma in jazz studies, which ladders into the 4-year bachelor's degree. The same with the fine arts, a 2-year diploma laddering into a 4-year bachelor's degree. With theatre, there are 2 diplomas, one in technical theatre and the second in theatre. And then the graphic design and the interior design are both 4-year degree programs. With these, a common admission requirement would be a portfolio or some indication that you have enthusiasm or experience in designing at a high school level for these areas. Arts, humanities, and social sciences, these would go into the very popular Bachelor of Arts. And we've listed here some of the minors and the majors that are offered. Canadian education, as you know, is very open, very encouraging for exploratory studies. So when you are applying to university, when your student is applying, they do not need to decide what their minor or major would be at the time of application. That would only need to be decided at the end of the second year. So they can, in their first and second year, take a variety of programs, see what they enjoy, see where their passion lies, and then later on decide what they want to go on with. In addition, with the Bachelor of Arts, you can, with the arts faculty, you can also take a diploma in criminology or physical education. And we also offer a 1-year certificate in language and culture. Business and management, one of the most popular, probably across Canada, across all English-speaking countries. We offer that as a 1-year certificate, a 2-year diploma, and as a 4-year degree. With the 4-year degree, you have 7 different specialization options, and you can see those listed there. A key business program requirement at the time of application would be Mathematics 12 or Pre-Calculus 12 or the equivalency based on the country they've completed their high school studies in. In Education, Health and Human Services, this is where you would find the Bachelor of Education program. So that would be the 5-year degree if you intend to become a teacher in BC or any province in Canada. In addition, you can take a Bachelor of Education in Physical Education or a Bachelor of Arts in Child and Youth Care, and that's where you're planning to go into some sort of a policy or administrative role working with children. You can also do a 2-year diploma in Early Childhood Education or Child and Youth Care. And moving to the Health and Human Services side, we offer a 2-year diploma as a dental hygienist or as a social services and a certificate program in dental assistant. What I do want to mention here, which would apply to a number of our programs, is that we have a very strong work experience component with many of them. So there would be an internship or a co-op or some sort of off-campus work experience that would help the student understand the program from a work side. And that's always very useful if they're planning to stay on and take advantage of the postgraduate work permit. The Bachelor of Science, so this is a parallel to the Bachelor of Arts, except the focus would be on natural sciences in the minors and the majors. What I mentioned about Canadian universities being very open to exploratory, the other aspect of that is that you can pair an art subject with a science subject. So for instance, you could major in biology, which is from natural sciences, and you could pair that with a minor in women's studies, for example. So these days, education is more about tailoring it to what your skills are, what you think the future is going to hold, because as we can see, particularly during COVID, is we have no idea what's going to happen. As an educational institution, we can only give you the skills so that you are best prepared for that future. So looking at the minors and majors in the Bachelor of Science, you can see them listed on the left of the screen. And on the right-hand side are some diplomas that we offer. So there's a 2-year computing science diploma, which is also offered as a 4-year degree. In engineering, we have 3 different options. We offer a first-year Fundamentals of Engineering, which allows you to ladder into the engineering degree programs at UBC, SFU, University of Alberta, and UNBC. And we also offer a 2-year engineering technologist diploma. Fisheries and Aquaculture is a 2-year diploma. Forest Resource, Information Technology and Applied Sciences, and Resource Management Officer Technology is also a 2-year program. And you can see at the bottom of the screen the prerequisites for these science programs. So very strong emphasis on the mathematics, obviously. If you're planning to major or minor in biology or chemistry, you would need those subjects at grade 12 level. And in engineering, you would need all of those that are listed there on the green section. Hospitality, tourism, recreation, and culinary is a very popular program specifically for VIU and many of the universities based in British Columbia. And that's purely because of our location, because tourism and hospitality is a key sector that hires graduates when they've completed their studies. So our programs are very hands-on training focused. And they do include a lot of those co-ops that I mentioned before. So with culinary arts, you can take it as a 1-year certificate or as a 2-year culinary management diploma. And these ladder into each other so you can follow the arrows through. So for instance, if you took the 2-year culinary management, you could ladder that into the 4-year bachelor's degree in hospitality management. With the recreation and tourism side, there's a 2-year diploma. And there's a 2-year diploma in the tourism studies as well, which ladders into the Bachelor of Tourism. And we offer a 1-year certificate in wine business, which is attractive to students who want to come for a short term or who want to add a program onto their main studies. Listed down there in the block are some of the employers that hire our students for the co-op. With culinary management, there are 2 co-ops within the 2-year diploma program. And these are some of the places they go. Majority they would go to somewhere in BC, but some of them have gone back to their home countries or gone to Ontario. It just depends on the student's interest. Okay, so I think that was a chunk, and I think I may have talked a little too fast because we've gone a little faster than I expected. So I'm going to ask Katie to pull up one of the polls that I'd scheduled for the session. And my first one is about what city Vancouver Island University's main campus is based in. So I'd mentioned right at the start of this that we're based on the west coast of Canada, and the options that you have are Vancouver, Victoria, Nanaimo, and Seattle. So I'll give you a couple seconds to fill that in. And as you do, I'll just mention that we have some of the warmest climate in Canada. Right now it's a beautiful summer. July and August are our warmest months. So I think yesterday was 21 degrees. So very nice to go out, go for a hike, go swimming. Of course, we are still maintaining social distancing. There we go, and the results. Excellent. So 60% of you got the correct answer. We are based in Nanaimo. Vancouver is just a short plane ride away or a ferry ride away, but we are in the second largest city on Vancouver Island, which is Nanaimo. So excellent. Thank you very much. I have 2 more questions. I think I might want to run the one for the faculty right now as well, please, Katie. So this is a question where I'd like to find out more from you. What faculty are your students most interested in? Art, design, and humanities, science and technology, business and management, or tourism and hospitality? So you have a couple seconds to fill that in as well. Oh, fantastic. So I can see that business and management is the leader with 59%. And then second would be science and tech at 17, and then tourism, hospitality 14, and then 10% for arts, design, and humanities. So that aligns perfectly with the programs that VIU offers. Thank you very much for filling that in. One last question I'll do later at the end. I'll just go into the graduate programs first, because I am hoping that you'll have a lot of questions for us. So with our graduate programs, we offer a number of 2-year diplomas, 2-year master's programs, and a 1-year certificate program. You can see them listed all here, and I'm going to go into each of them in detail because I know they are an area of significant interest. excuse me. So when I started, I mentioned that the IELTS entry score for undergraduate programs would be 6.5, and the entry score for students looking at graduate programs would be a 7.0 IELTS with no band below 6.5. We are also accepting the Duolingo and a score of 115 for the fall 2020 and the spring 2021 semesters. So with each of these slides, there are different admission requirements. Those we can go into in detail on the website, and you can always send us an email, send ApplyBoard an email, and they can guide you through those. They're on their website and on ours as well. So the first one I'll start with is a post-degree diploma in Fisheries and Aquaculture. So we have a sturgeon center on our campus. We breed the sturgeon, we research them, and we are a one-of-a-kind research center. So it is a very hands-on program. It is very attractive if you are planning to continue working in BC or in Canada. You can see the tuition on there. It's a one-year program and it has a September intake. Going into our business programs at a graduate level, and these are the majority. So I'm going to take you through them in a sequential manner. So the first is a graduate certificate in business. It's a one-year program, 3 semesters in length. It's offered in September and in January, and it is a top-up to a student who's either come from a business background or a non-business background. If they are planning to go into our MBA afterwards, but they do not have the required GPA to enter the MBA, then they can start with this graduate certificate in business and upgrade their qualification. The graduate certificate in business that I talked about on the last slide also ladders into 2 graduate diploma programs in our business faculty. One is international trade, which you can see on your screens right now, and the second is project management. So these programs can either be entered directly if you have a business degree and the required GPA, or you can ladder into it after completing the graduate certificate in business. It is a one-year program, as I mentioned. It has 3 semesters. The international trade has a September intake. And on the next slide, the project management has a September intake as well. For 2021, I would ask you to keep an eye out because we will be adding a January intake for the international trade. So similarly to the international trade graduate diploma, the project management can be laddered into after completing your GCIB, which is the graduate certificate in business, or you can go into it directly if you have a business background and you have the required GPA. Graduate Diploma in Hospitality Management. This is a 2-year graduate program. You can go into it if you have a background in hospitality or if you have a background in any other area. It is preparing you to go into a management position in the hospitality or tourism area. And it is 6 semesters, so it is very intensive. It would run through the summer. And it has a September intake. The Masters of Arts in Sustainable Leisure Management. This is a unique program that is looking at some of the sustainability and ecotourism trends that are happening around the world right now. VIU is designated as a World Leisure Center of Excellence. There are 5 of them in the world, and we are one of them. It's a 2-year master's program. You will notice that our master's programs are very affordably priced. It has a September intake. The first year is focused on the theory, and the second year is focused on writing your thesis and working directly with a supervisor. Our Masters of Business Administration, probably the most popular graduate program that we have. As I mentioned, you can ladder into it after completing the graduate certificate in business, or you can enter it directly if you have the required GPA and you have a minimum of 1 year work experience. There are 2 intakes for the MBA, so you can begin it in September and in January. It's a 5-semester program with an internship right at the end. So again, very focused on preparing you for working in Canada. And it is an MBA that has a general focus with a digital literacy component. Master of Community Planning. This is for students who come from a civil engineering or an architecture background. They're interested in looking at how urban cities are developing and the move from rural to urban, and how various government support systems are adjusting to that. It's a 2-year program, again, September intake only. And you can see some of the career possibilities listed on that site. In the education faculty, we have 2 masters offered. The first is the Masters of Education and Educational Leadership, a 2-year program. This does not prepare you to become a teacher in BC or in Canada, but instead prepares you for an administrative role within the education sector. It has a September intake. And the second one on the next slide is the Master of Education in Special Education. So this is preparing you to work with children for a variety of special needs. And it also is a 2-year program with a September intake. The Master of Geographic Information System Applications, or MGISA. It is offered as a laddering program. So you would begin it with the ADGISA, I forget what the, Advanced Diploma in Geographic Information Systems. That would be the first year of the master's program. If you wish to continue to the 2-year, then you would add in the second year and graduate with the master's. It is specifically designed for students from geography or a geographic information background. It's very focused on data and analyzing trends. And then going into our support services, in the video that we started off with, you noticed that we had some slides from our residences. So we do have a residence on campus. It's open to our undergraduate and graduate students. You can choose between a single or a double room occupancy, depending on cost, depending on what your preferences are, depending on your personality. We also have a homestay program that is run by our university. So it is internally managed. We have a team of 4. You can choose to stay in homestay with meals or without. Most of our homestays are within a 45-minute bus distance off campus, so they are very close. And then the third option is off-campus housing, so you can rent an apartment. We do have a member of staff who would guide you through that and tell you what to watch out for when you are signing a lease or a rental agreement in Nanaimo. And then, as I mentioned at the start of this slide, we have a designated international education faculty, and that is a home base for all of the services that you see listed on here. So whether you're looking for academic advising, counseling, housing services, immigration, we have 2 RCICs who would be able to advise you on your study permits, on continuing to postgraduate work permits, and they hold seminars on permanent residency if that's something that you're interested in. Varsity Athletics is also renowned in BC. We are Pacific West champions in a number of sports. So you will, when you come to our campus, you would see at our gymnasium, we have all the banners around the gym showing the competitions that we've won or been runners-up in. The teams that you see listed on there, so our varsity teams are in basketball, golf, soccer, and volleyball for men, and women's teams with the basketball, the soccer, and volleyball. And then we have club teams as well, which are called intramurals. So if you are interested in playing at a varsity level, then that would be something I would encourage you to do. So we're on the slide for costs, but before we go into that, Katie, if I could ask you to pull up my last poll question, please. And the question for this poll is, what animal can be seen on the Vancouver Island University campus all year round? Is it a raccoon, peacocks, deer, or sturgeon? We used to have a lot of rabbits on campus. Unfortunately, we don't anymore. So I didn't want to confuse people who've been to our campus by putting that in the list. Hopefully the answer should be very, very obvious. Give you a few more seconds. Okay, so just before we started this, we were talking to the ApplyBoard webinar manager, and she was saying raccoon. Unfortunately, it is not raccoons. The correct answer is sturgeon. And that is because we have a sturgeon center on campus and is the only one you can see all year round. Deer would be a good one, but you can usually only see them in the summer. Okay, so going into the costs, I mentioned that we have a very affordable tuition base for our graduate programs. Oh, one slide back, please. And it is also true for our undergraduate programs. So approximately 8,600 for tuition per semester for undergraduate, which comes to around 17,000 for the year. The master's programs listed 25,000, that's for the 2-year program. And on the right-hand side, you can see a summary of what other costs your students would be looking at. So the living costs, we recommend that students budget around 1,000 Canadian dollars, which would include their housing and their food. And you can see the other estimates in there. I do want to mention here that we have a fantastic VRU cost calculator tool on our website. So you or students can go in, choose your program, choose your housing option, and you can get a summary of what costs you would need to budget. And then my last 2 slides here, I know that you're still looking at what programs are open for September. Your students are still interested in applying. So I've listed some of them here. For the fall, we are still accepting applications for the Bachelor of Arts, Bachelor of Business Administration, Bachelor of Science, Hospitality Management, Exploratory Studies, Culinary Arts Certificate if the students are already in Canada or they got their study permit before, I believe it was March, according to Canadian regulations. The Visual Arts Diploma program, and of course our ESL. And then for the spring, you can also see the programs listed there that are still open and accepting applications. So you can still put those in. And then on the next slide, I have the list of graduate programs that are still open. So for the fall, we are accepting students to the Masters of Arts in Sustainable Leisure Management, Graduate Certificate in Business, and Graduate Diploma in Project Management. And for the spring, the MBA, the GCIB, and the Grad Diploma in Hospitality Management. And that is my last slide. I think this is probably where ApplyBoard jumps in.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. I was feeling that you guys gonna go over the time because when you started, said there's so many slides, you have to go answer them, and then now look at it. You're 10 minutes even. We have 10 minutes more for answering questions. So I'm gonna start asking the questions to our amazing partner. You would be able to ask a lot of questions. We don't have many questions. So the first question is, does VR UX a PTE? And if yes, what is the score that you guys accept?
Excellent. So the PTE is the Pearson test, I'm assuming that's what they mean?
That's correct.
Right, perfect. Good. So I'm going to pull up my website and tell you what the score is. 1 second, Meti. So it is true, whenever I start these presentations, I always think I'm going to go over because I get very excited and I talk very fast. But thankfully, I did not. All right, here we go. So if you are looking at PTE, for undergraduate, we would require a score of 60 with no section below 60. And for graduate studies, we would require a score of 65 with no section below 60. So thank you for that. That's a great question. I will mention that our website is world.vru.ca. We have a section for future students and under that admission requirements, and that's where you would see the full list.
Thank you so much. Next question is about, will CIC accept Duolingo? I'll answer that. CIC has not made any announcement whether they accept Duolingo instead of IELTS for STS. Obviously, if the students applying for general category, which majority of the students are applying for general category as of now, then obviously you would be able to use the Duolingo. However, if you're applying under a CS route, there hasn't been, at least till now, any announcement that Duolingo will be acceptable. But on that, does VIU accept Duolingo at this moment? And is it temporary or permanent for future intakes?
So yes, we do accept it. We have committed to accepting it for our fall 2020 and our spring 2021 intakes. We have not as yet made a decision about fall 2021, but I'm sure we would know before September, before applications open for next year.
Thank you so much. Next question is, does your dental program require mathematics?
So I'm going to ask Mikhail if you'd like to take this because my voice is going.
Sure, but thanks, Samir. It was a great presentation. Let me just jump straight to the requirements. But overall, dental hygiene program is one of the programs of special choice and attraction to our potential students. When it comes to the requirements, as Amira mentioned earlier, we would have two main requirements. One of them is related to the language, your proficiency, which is the English test, and the second would be academic proficiency, your let's say high school diploma. When it comes to specific requirements, as of now, and probably you can see it on the website as well, we don't have math requirements being posted. However, it is a math heavy course. So we would expect it to be quite proficient in math to be able to success in these studies. But as of now, if one of your clients, prospective students, are interested in that particular program, all they need to do is to go online on our website, start the application on the international students page, and upload the copy of the transcript, as well as copy of the English language test.
Thank you so much. And I think, Grob, that you asked, pretty sure that when you go to ApplyBoard, it has mentioned if the mathematics for any courses are required or not, and we are making that very visible for majority of the partners posts that you would be able to easily see that. Next question is around graduate diploma, has 3 semesters, but program length is 1 year. Is this a fast track program?
It's not a fast track, it's an intensive program. So it would have the 3 semesters, the fall, the spring, and the summer. What I did forget to mention during the presentation about the graduate diploma, so I'm glad you asked that question, Meti, is that the graduate diploma in international trade and project management, both of them come with industry certifications. So you would be either getting the PMP or you would be getting the international trade certification from BC. At the end of that program, you would write the official exam. So it is a double piece that you can use to market yourself for employment.
That is great. Next question again is around graduate diplomas. It says, if the student does not have a degree in business, but they have a work experience in business, can they still apply for the graduate diplomas?
No, they cannot. They would need to apply first for the graduate certificate in business and then continue into the graduate diploma, because you need a business degree to go directly into that 1-year grad diploma.
Got it. There's so many questions about course specific, like what is the GPA of MBA? I'm not going to actually ask that because it's much easier to look at our website, and I would like to ask questions that we can answer the majority of people's question by doing that. By the way, there's a very good compliment about how people liked it. This is the 3rd question or feedback I read about how this presentation was well done. So kudos to you.
Thank you.
People really like it.
I do want to give credit where it's due. So the entire presentation was designed by one of our MBA interns because we hire them at the end of their program. So I think that's a testament to how strong our programs are. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much. And next question is about fall. Have you guys make decision if the classes are going to be in class or will they be online? They're asking for both fall and winter. So if you can elaborate more on it.
Leanne, may I ask you to take that, please?
Yes, thank you, Amira and Meti, and hello, everyone. We're so glad you could join us here today. We have decided that the fall semester will be hybrid delivery. That means that any program that can be delivered online will be. Anything that has a hands-on component or an in-person component will have an on-campus component that will be integrated safely according to our public health standards. And those programs are quite limited though. So for international students, the two that it would apply to would be culinary management, or culinary, and also hospitality management. So everything else will be delivered online for the fall semester, and we are working on the decision for the spring semester. We'll release that information as soon as possible.
Thank you so much. Extended to that, for those two programs, if the students cannot get their visa and they come by any chance to Canada, would they be able to defer for the next intake? What is the policy around that?
If they can't get their study permit on time, we are allowing them to study from home online without a study permit. I encourage everyone to go to our website. If you go to the homepage of our international site at world.viu.ca, there is a link to our COVID information page, and there is very extensive information on that. If students decide to begin their studies without a study permit, there are both benefits and risks to them, and we want them to be well informed.
Thank you so much. Have you guys made any decision around conditional letter of acceptance today based on the final IELTS? It's based on the IELTS or final result of the high school students?
So do you mean if they haven't got their final results as yet?
Or they haven't had the IELTS in their hand, can they still apply for conditional LOA?
So with the IELTS score, we do not require an IELTS to apply. You can always get a conditional acceptance. So once you, I believe it's 4 weeks before the start of classes, you can provide your IELTS and we would lift the condition. But up until then, you get a conditional. Because we are a public post-secondary, you can get study permits with conditional acceptances, so that's no problem. With regards to the final high school scores, depending on your curriculum, we have allowed various scenarios. So with the IB and the Cambridge, I am aware that you can use your final report cards. You do not need your final exam scores, and we will give you an offer based on that. So if there are particular curriculums, please send a message to ApplyBoard. They'll pass it on to us, and we can answer that directly.
Thank you so much.
Meti, may I jump in for one more second here? Regarding the last question, we are working with students on refunds and deferrals. Our admissions team is assisting students because this is such an uncertain time. We understand that, and we are supporting them. We have a policy also on our website, so people can view it in detail.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
I'll take the next question myself. There is a question, if the January intakes goes online as well, what would be the effect of postgraduate work permit? The latest news that came out was a student that have received their visa before March 18 are allowed to start their programs online, as long as 50% of that program be delivered online. The student's postgraduate work permit would not be impacted. However, ourselves and a few other industry folks, we are consistently talking with the IRCC to kind of emphasize the fact that the students may need to study online for the January intake. I think the flexibility is there, but IRCC is trying to wait and understand what's going to happen for fall, and there is a good chance that that be extended for January. But the biggest question right now that we're trying to get out of IRCC is if the students got their visa after March 18, we would like them to be able to start online and their PGWP does not be impacted. Unfortunately, they don't make decision as fast as they should, I would say, but there are very complex reasons for it. For example, RSCC does not have any control on the opening of the border. So There are some other departments that they have to work with, like Home Security Department, and then that Homeland Security Department that allows people to come to Canada. So they are very complex situation for them too. But what I can say, our team, University of Canada and CIK and a few other folks that they're in the leader of the industry, we are pretty much working all together to emphasize to IRCC how important it is to come up with those rules and permissions pretty much for students and clarity. So that's the very political answer that I can give to you guys, but as of now, there is no news around January or after March 18. Second question, not second, one of the next question is, would you guys allow a student to have education gap, whether for the bachelor or if they're planning to study graduate diploma?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I don't think an education gap is a problem in terms of applying to the university. We would like to know what you have been doing during that period. So if you were dedicating time to your family, or if you were going back to school, whatever it is, we would like to see that in your resume. A lot of the graduate programs do require you to submit a resume. And I know with Canadian immigration, they also want to know exactly what you've done and what the gaps are. So just fill in those areas, give some details, and I don't think it would be an issue.
Thank you so much. Again, is about the visa. Just general things for our partners in Canada. If you're talking about visa, you have to be immigration consultant or immigration lawyer. So it's really hard to ask those questions, and I ask Amira that answer that. Again, for my best of knowledge, I answered this as I'm not immigration consultant, so just keep that in mind. Well, IRCC will not accept duration of online study without a study permit for PGWP. The answer is yes. As of now, if the students are starting online and the students on education, they don't have a study permit that was approved March 18 or before, they will not count that toward of the online. However, if there is a school, for example, that they're promoting their own bachelor program for PGWP, you're required to have 2 years of a study within Canada or during this tough time if it was online portions of it. So if the student takes 2 semesters online in their home country, but they're still coming here and they continue 3 more years or 6 more semesters in Canada, technically, students shouldn't have any issue with their PGWP because the student was in the land of Canada and they finished the 2 years. It's very similar than, let's say, if the students do 2 years diploma in their home country, they want to transfer to a bachelor program of university. When they come here and they finish the bachelor, they look at the 2 years. So there are ways around of it. Obviously, where the trick comes for the PG program, graduate diploma program, because the length of the program is only 1 year, then the student should not risk it to start online without having a valid study permit, because there is no guarantee would they accept it or not. The policies clearly has mentioned if the student has visa before March 18, they are allowed to study online for May or fall, and that would not be impact their PGWP as long as it's 50% of their program. Again, this is the latest that came out. If Amira, you have heard something new, you can elaborate, but that would be, again, the answer that what we have heard that I would be able to share with you guys.
There is just one thing that I could add. It's that we do have 2 RCICs in our team at the International Education faculty, and they've created a fantastic resource on our website. So if you go online and search VRU FAQ Immigration, you'll see a lot of these questions with the answers. And these are directly from people who are certified to speak about immigration matters. So I hope they would answer what questions you do have. Leanne, was there something you wanted to add?
I was going to say something similar, and also that our 2 IRCC certified staff members are watching those announcements closely as well. And any student in that 1-year program situation, we will be working with them as far as semester deferrals and such, if needed, in order to make sure that they make the most of their time studying at VIU.
Yeah. Again, just because we don't have much question, we have time. I feel by September, majority of the schools would be able to welcome some of the students, just because now it's easing up in terms of like people traveling. However, maybe some countries that they do have many cases would be harder for Canada's government to be able to welcome the students. But again, unfortunately, during this time that we live, the best positive things is to wait and plan as soon as the certainty comes out. The great thing is, to best of my knowledge, majority of the schools are offering programs online for fall. Majority of the schools being very flexible for the students if they would like to request a deferral, and we would see most of the schools may have a January intake for a few of the popular program if they didn't have it before, to just make sure that students would be able to come. So I think the best things that we can do, keep eyes on that schools and understanding what that school does. And obviously international students is super important for Canadians government, Canadians economic. So they will do their best of they can to make sure the students comes here safely, at their own safety, and putting everyone's safety first. So I think the most important thing is what I suggest to everyone to do is just to make sure that the students get their acceptance, that they choose the schools they want to, make their tuition deposit, apply for their visa as soon as they can, and let's just wait till everything is clear. At least they have that spot available for themselves, so they don't need to go back. So that's something that as an advice I would be able to give to our partner. I asked next question, but I think the answer, because you guys are university, is very flexible. So for South Asia students, primary Indian students, when you finish your bachelor degree, you may have backlogs. So if you know the backlogs is the failures that you do, if you fail the courses during your bachelor. So the question is, how many backlogs are acceptable for your master or post the graduate diplomas?
So with the master's degrees, speaking generally across the board, you would need an average B in the last 2 years of your bachelor's degree. If you do not meet that, then chances of getting into these master's programs is not good because it is competitive. But in that case, if you're looking at business, then I would suggest go into the graduate certificate in business, because that gives you a chance to upgrade and correct those backlogs. And show that you are a good student. You know, there might have been something else that affected you.
Thank you so much. There is a lot of question around the scholarship I'll ask, but I know it's not the easy answer to it. But what scholarship do you guys have available for a student?
Mikhail, may I ask you to take that, please?
Sure. So we have quite a few scholarships to choose from. And just to let you know, they might change next year. So we may have even more scholarships than we do have available at this point. But the most popular scholarships are so-called entrance scholarships. They're available to students upon submission of their application. So the student doesn't even have to submit the application for a scholarship. Admission committee considers that student automatically, and if student qualifies, then they may grant a scholarship ranging within, I would say, 2,000 to 5,000 Canadian dollars. That's one-time scholarship available to students. Then we have a separate scholarships for IB diploma students, and then for some of those who are interested in sports, we have an athletic scholarship as well. So if a student is doing quite well in, let's say, team sports, volleyball, basketball, soccer, some other sports as well, then they can submit the application online. Our coaches will review the portfolio and may grant a scholarship even before the student comes to Canada. So quite a few scholarships to choose from. They're posted on our website, and either agents or even students can reach out to us directly with more specific questions if they have any.
Thank you so much. Next question would be, do you guys accept the distance learning or open schools program, like their bachelor's or their high schools, if it was a distance learning or open distance learning? Let's put it that way. I don't know what that word they mentioned. Put it that side. Do you guys accept the distance learning, whether from the students, high schools or bachelor students?
Yes, we do. We don't discriminate. And in the same way, when we're looking at bachelor's degree, we accept both the 3-year and the 4-year. If it was distance, if it was an open learning format, both are acceptable as long as you've been a good student. We can see the transcripts, you have the required grades. We are an open access university, so we are very flexible. And yeah, I think your students would have a fantastic time with us.
Thank you so much. I'll finish it here. Really appreciate it. I really enjoyed today's presentation, and thanks to our amazing partner for being here with us today. We have 12 more TRW to go. I think that was our 30th. Next week, we will go for Sheridan College, and we're only going to have one TRW webinars next week, and the week after, we're going to Brock University and Vanguard College, the part of their academic, their creative arts campus. Once again, thank you so much for guys waking up that early for us and
thank you, Mehdi,
this amazing presentation. I hope wherever you guys are and your loved ones and your family are safe and healthy.
Thank you all very much. It was a pleasure to be here. Katie, Mehdi, thank you very much. And to the partners, we look forward to working with you. Stay safe.
Take care. Bye.